Chosen one. There are moments when your strength is so quiet, so unshakable, that it unsettles those who were never built to carry the weight you've carried. They saw it, maybe just for a moment, but it was enough to remind them why you cannot be replaced, why you cannot be diminished, and why you will always rise, no matter how much resistance you face. This is the kind of strength that can't be faked. It's forged in hidden battles, in sleepless nights, in moments where you had nothing but faith to hold on to. When they caught a glimpse of it, it rattled something deep inside them, because it exposed the truth. They could never endure what you've survived. Before we go further, I want you to watch this video until the very end, because every word you're about to hear is meant to awaken the next level of your journey. And while you're here, take a moment to write your most heartfelt wish in the comments, followed by 777 as a way of sending your intention into the universe. This isn't just a symbolic act, it's a declaration that you're ready to align with the blessings, breakthroughs, and protection meant for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel so you never miss the guidance, confirmations, and revelations that are meant to keep you one step ahead on this path. The reality is, chosen one, your strength has been misunderstood for most of your life. People often think strength is loud, that it has to be shown in obvious ways, like shouting back when attacked or fighting for recognition in every room you enter. But your strength doesn't work like that. Yours is quieter, sharper, and far more enduring. You don't need to announce your resilience. It speaks for itself in the way you survive things that would break others. It's in the way you walk away without bitterness, in the way you rebuild from nothing, and in the way you keep your spirit intact when life tries to tear it apart. Those who've tried to undermine you learned this the hard way. At first, they might have thought you were easy to break because you didn't retaliate in obvious ways. They mistook your silence for weakness, your patience for submission. But what they didn't realize is that your silence was strategy, and your patience was power. You were never avoiding the fight. You were simply choosing battles worth winning. And in doing so, you've outlasted them in ways they never saw coming. The glimpse they caught of your spiritual strength wasn't just about your ability to endure. It was about your ability to transform pain into power. They saw how every setback became a stepping stone for you, how you used rejection as redirection, betrayal as revelation, and loss as the catalyst for a deeper connection to your calling. This is what unsettled them, because for them, hardship is something that destroys. But for you, hardship is the forge that makes you unshakable. And when you stand in that strength, something happens. It exposes the weakness in others. It's not even intentional, but your very existence becomes a mirror, reflecting back what they've avoided facing in themselves. That's why they feel discomfort around you. That's why they react with envy, doubt, or even hostility, because your strength forces them to confront the truth. They are not built like you. But you didn't get here without a cost. The strength they see now is the result of seasons where you cried in silence, where you questioned everything, where you were tempted to give up more times than you can count. It's built from moments when you were surrounded by darkness and had to learn how to be your own light. They don't see the nights you prayed for a way through. They don't see the sacrifices you made, the people you had to let go, the comfort you had to leave behind to protect your peace. And yet, despite everything, you didn't just survive. You became stronger. You didn't just make it through. You emerged with wisdom, with clarity, and with a deeper understanding of who you are. And that, chosen one, is why they can't match your energy. They can mimic your style, copy your words, even try to imitate your path, but they can't duplicate your spirit, because your spirit was shaped in the furnace of trials that were meant for you and you alone. What shook them the most was realizing that your strength isn't temporary, it's permanent. This isn't a good season for you, it's not a lucky streak. It's the result of an inner foundation that no storm has been able to destroy. They expected your strength to run out, thinking maybe you were only pushing through because you had no other choice. But time proved them wrong. The longer they watched, the more they realized you weren't just enduring, you were thriving. There's something intimidating about someone who keeps showing up, even after the world has tried to push them down. That's you. You keep showing up. You show up for your responsibilities, for your growth, for your dreams, even when it's hard. And the thing is, you make it look natural. You make it look like there's no weight on your shoulders, even when you're carrying the heaviest load. They don't see the sweat, the tears, the mental battles. They just see you standing. And that alone is enough to make them question everything they thought they knew about you. The spiritual strength they glimpsed is the kind that can't be bought or fast-tracked. It's earned over years of being tested, refined, and pushed beyond your limits. It's the strength of someone who has faced heartbreak without losing their ability to love, of someone who has faced betrayal without losing their ability to trust in the right people, of someone who has walked through failure but still has the courage to try again. That kind of resilience is rare, and when others witness it, it leaves an impression they can't shake. And here's what makes it even more powerful. Your strength is not rooted in ego. You're not doing this to prove anything to anyone. You're not trying to outshine anyone or make others feel small. Your strength is simply the byproduct of you staying true to yourself, no matter what. You learned a long time ago that real power doesn't need to shout. It simply is. They can't understand how you keep your composure when they would have snapped. They can't understand how you keep your vision clear when everything around you tries to cloud it. They can't understand how you keep moving forward without the need to trample others in your path. It's because your strength comes from a higher place, a source that never runs dry. That's what scares them. That's what makes them uneasy. Because if they can't figure out the source, they can't figure out how to compete with it. And the truth is, chosen one, you don't just carry strength, you radiate it. It's in the way you speak, the way you move, the way you refuse to let negativity cling to you. Your presence shifts the energy in a room. People feel safer, braver, and sometimes even more uncomfortable when you're around, because you carry an atmosphere they can't control. It's like you bring a light that forces shadows to retreat, and some people aren't ready to face what that light exposes. But here's the thing. Your strength isn't here to destroy anyone. It's here to inspire. Whether they admit it or not, there's a part of them that wishes they had what you have. They may resent you for it, they may try to discredit it, but deep down, they know your strength is real. And the longer they watch, the more they realize they can't take it from you. This is why you've been set apart. This is why certain doors open for you that remain closed for others. Because your strength is not just for you, it's for the people you're meant to help, the battles you're meant to fight, and the change you're meant to bring. The glimpse they caught was only a fraction of what's really inside you. And if that fraction was enough to shake them, imagine what will happen when you step into the fullness of it. The truth is, chosen one, most people have never met someone like you. They've met strong people, sure, but not this kind of strength. What you carry is layered. It's physical endurance, mental resilience, emotional depth, and spiritual authority all woven together. When they're around you, they feel it in ways they can't explain. It's not just in what you say, it's in what you are. That's why even your silence speaks volumes. You could walk into a room and say nothing, yet people will turn their heads, sensing that something is different about you. Your presence doesn't need to announce itself, it simply commands attention. And for some, that's empowering. For others, it's terrifying. Because when they see you, they see everything they've avoided becoming. You've been through enough storms to destroy most people, but instead of breaking, you transformed. You didn't just heal, you became wiser. You didn't just survive, you developed vision. And you didn't just endure, you grew stronger. They look at you and realize that your strength wasn't handed to you. It was built from the ground up, forged in moments no one else witnessed. And that fact unsettles them, because it means they can't replicate it overnight. This is why some people respond to you with envy, while others respond with deep respect. They're looking at the same person, but their reaction is determined by what's in their own heart. The ones who carry insecurity will see you as a threat, while those who carry humility will see you as an example. That's the double-edged reality of spiritual strength. It will either inspire someone to grow or provoke them to compete. And here's the thing. They think they've seen all of you, but they haven't. That glimpse they caught was just the surface. They saw you calm in chaos, confident under pressure, steady when the ground was shaking. But they didn't see the hours you spent in solitude, the nights you stayed awake wrestling with your thoughts, the tears you shed when no one was watching. They didn't see the faith it took to keep going when everything told you to quit. And because they didn't see that, they assume it doesn't exist. But it does. And it's the reason you stand the way you do today. You're proof that strength isn't just about how hard you can hit. It's about how much you can endure without losing your integrity. It's about holding your ground without becoming bitter. It's about carrying scars without letting them define you. That's why your presence can feel so intense to others, because you're not just strong, you're healed, and healing has a power that raw force never will. When they caught that glimpse, it made them realize something else. They underestimated you. They thought they knew your limits, but those limits were illusions. You've already gone beyond what they thought was possible. And now, they're left wondering just how far you can go. That uncertainty eats at them, because it means they have no control over your next move. But here's the beautiful part. Your strength is not just about surviving for yourself. It's about paving the way for others who are watching you quietly, hoping to find a way forward. You've become a living example of what happens when someone refuses to let life make them small. And whether they love you or resent you, one thing is certain. They'll never forget the moment they realized you're not someone who can be broken. There's something they'll never admit out loud. Chosen one. The fear wasn't just about your strength. It was about what your strength revealed about them. When your light shines, it doesn't just illuminate the room. It exposes what's been hiding in the shadows. And for some people, those shadows are filled with insecurity, unhealed wounds, and unspoken regrets. Being around you feels like standing in front of a mirror they didn't ask for, one that shows them everything they've avoided confronting. It's not that you go out of your way to make people feel uncomfortable, you simply live in truth. But for those who are still running from theirs, that's too much to handle. They'll try to downplay you, dismiss you, or even twist your image in an attempt to protect their own. But deep down, they know the truth. The reason it's so hard for them to be in your presence is because it challenges them to grow, and growth requires change, and change requires leaving behind the comfort of who they've been. And that's the thing. You didn't get here by staying comfortable. You went through seasons that stretched you to your breaking point. You faced situations that demanded you dig deeper than you ever thought possible. You made decisions to let go of things and people that no longer served your purpose, even when it hurt. You learned to be misunderstood without losing your voice, and each time you walked through the fire, you came out stronger, purer, more certain of who you are. When they caught that glimpse of your spiritual strength, they saw more than resilience. They saw authority, not the kind that comes from a title or position, but the kind that comes from surviving what should have destroyed you. You carry the kind of authority that can't be faked because it's born from lived experience, and that's why they can't compete with you. They can mimic your style, copy your words, even try to replicate your moves, but they can't manufacture the path that got you here. Some people can't understand why doors open for you, or why you move with such peace, even in uncertainty. But what they don't realize is that you've already learned how to walk without knowing the full map. You've mastered the art of trusting the process, of showing up consistently even when the results aren't immediate. And that's something most people can't handle, because it means letting go of control and leaning into faith. You also carry an energy that's not easily explained, but deeply felt. When people are around you, they sense that they can't play small games with you. They either have to rise to the occasion or get left behind. And because not everyone is ready to rise, some choose to distance themselves. They'll create narratives about you to justify their distance, but really, it's about their discomfort in the presence of your growth. The ones who truly see you will understand that your strength isn't meant to intimidate. It's meant to inspire. It's not a weapon. It's a light. And just like light can be too bright for eyes that have been in the dark too long, your presence can be overwhelming for those who aren't ready. But for the ones who are ready, you become a guide, a reference point, proof that it's possible to overcome and still keep your heart intact. That's why no matter how much resistance you face, you don't stop showing up. Because you know that for every person who feels threatened by you, there's another whose life might be changed just by watching you walk in your truth. And that's the real power you carry, not just to survive for yourself, but to inspire the survival and transformation of others. You see, Chosen One, when you walk into a room, you don't just enter physically, you shift the atmosphere. Without even trying, your presence carries a frequency that unsettles what doesn't align with it. This is why certain people start fidgeting, stumbling over their words, or even leaving altogether when you arrive. It's not about you doing anything outwardly aggressive. It's about the undeniable truth that spiritual strength disrupts comfort zones built on weakness. What you've developed over time isn't just confidence, it's spiritual clarity. You see through situations, through people, and even through yourself with a level of honesty that others find terrifying. Most people are skilled at hiding, but your very nature makes hiding impossible. And when the masks fall, it forces a choice. Face the truth or run from it. Many choose to run. But you didn't get here without your own seasons of running, did you? You remember the times you avoided your calling, the moments you tried to fit in where you didn't belong, the days you questioned if you were even strong enough to keep going. That's why your strength carries so much weight, because it's not the product of perfection, it's the result of wrestling with your own weaknesses until you found your footing. The reason they felt almost killed by the sight of your strength is because it reminded them of the work they haven't done. It's easier for them to label you as intimidating, arrogant, or too much than to confront their own lack of growth. You didn't just mirror their potential, you mirrored their neglect of it. And nothing is more unsettling than seeing the version of yourself you could have been, standing right in front of you. Here's the thing, they'll never tell the full story. They'll say they left because you changed, or that your energy was different. But the truth is, your elevation made their comfort feel like a cage. They didn't want to be forced to grow at your pace, so instead, they chose to step back into environments where mediocrity is celebrated, where no one challenges them to do better. And yet the ironic part? They still watch. Maybe not openly, but from a distance. They check your updates, hear about your progress through mutual connections, and feel that familiar knot in their stomach every time they realize you've gone even further. It's not just jealousy, it's grief. Grief for the version of themselves they abandoned, for the opportunities they didn't seize, for the courage they didn't cultivate. This is why you can't afford to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Your spiritual strength wasn't given to you just to survive. It was given to you to lead, to inspire, to break chains that others have accepted as permanent. And yes, that will come with resistance, misunderstandings, and even betrayal. But none of that changes the fact that your existence is a living testimony that strength isn't born in easy places. It's forged in the heat of trials. Your journey is proof that you can be broken and still rise, that you can be overlooked and still shine, that you can be underestimated and still win. And whether they ever admit it or not, the glimpse they got of you was more than they could handle, not because you were too much, but because you were everything they told themselves they couldn't be. And so, Chosen One, you keep going. You keep walking with that same spiritual authority. You keep living in such a way that even if they never speak it, they know deep down You are the standard they measure themselves against. And no matter how much they try to look away, they'll never forget the moment they saw what true strength looks like. What they don't realize, Chosen One, is that your strength didn't just appear overnight. It was built layer by layer, moment by moment, in places where no one was watching. You weren't forged under the applause of crowds. You were forged in silence, in pain, in the moments when you thought no one saw you at all. That's why your strength feels so authentic, because it is. There's no performance in it, no attempt to impress, just the raw reality of what you've survived. And here's the part that makes them the most uncomfortable. You didn't just survive, you thrived. You learned to grow in places that were meant to suffocate you. You learned to smile even when you were bleeding inside. You learned to keep moving when everything in you screamed to stop. That's why your presence alone can feel like a confrontation to those who have chosen comfort over growth. They wanted to see you break. Maybe they didn't say it out loud, but they were waiting for the day your energy would fade, the day your faith would crack, the day your light would dim enough for them to feel taller standing next to you. But that day never came. Instead, you kept rising. You kept showing up. You kept shining brighter. And now, they have to sit with the truth that nothing they did, no whisper, no plot, no silent wish for your downfall could erase what was placed inside of you. You carry a type of strength that can't be imitated because it's not just skill, it's spirit. And spirit is something you can't fake. You can't copy the depth of someone who has walked through fire and learned to dance in the flames. You can't duplicate the presence of someone who has stared darkness in the face and still chosen light. That's why they crumble when they see you. It's because your very existence exposes the gaps in theirs. And here's the real twist. Your strength is not even at its peak yet. What they've seen so far? That's just the beginning. You're still growing, still evolving, still unlocking new levels of wisdom, resilience, and authority. They thought they caught a glimpse of the finished product, but all they saw was the foundation. They have no idea how much higher you're about to go, how much more refined your spirit will become, how much more unstoppable your walk will be. They'll either have to adjust to your elevation or remove themselves entirely, because there's no middle ground with someone like you. You weren't made to slow down for people who refuse to speed up. You weren't made to mute your voice so others wouldn't feel insecure. And you weren't made to shrink into the shadows just because your light reveals what's been hiding in the dark. So walk tall, not with arrogance, but with the quiet, unshakable knowing that you've earned every ounce of strength you carry. You've walked roads that would have broken most people. You've carried burdens that weren't even yours and still managed to stand. You've been the backbone for others even when you had no one to hold you up. And now, every step you take is a reminder to the world and to yourself that you are exactly who you were meant to be. And the ones who couldn't handle a glimpse of your strength, they'll remember it forever. Not because you tried to make them feel small, but because you showed them what true greatness, true resilience, and true spiritual power looks like. And deep down, they know it's something they can't ignore. Chosen One, your journey has always been about more than just you. The strength they saw in you and couldn't handle wasn't built for ego, wasn't built for competition. It was built because there are people you haven't even met yet who will need to witness it. Your story will be the blueprint for someone else's survival, your resilience the proof that they can endure their own battles. This is why the enemy fought you so hard. This is why the pressure seemed unbearable at times. It wasn't just about stopping you. It was about stopping every life you were destined to touch. They knew that if you made it through, you wouldn't just shine for yourself. You would light the way for others. And now, that's exactly what's happening. But here's the thing they still don't get. Your spiritual strength is not loud, it's not boastful, it's not even always visible in obvious ways. It's in the way you hold your peace when others try to provoke you. It's in the way you forgive even when you could justify holding a grudge. It's in the way you continue to pour love into the world, even when life has given you 100 reasons to close your heart. That type of strength is intimidating because it's rare. Most people build walls for protection, but you've built bridges. Most people let hardship harden them, but you let it refine you. That is why your energy feels different, because you are not moving from fear, you are moving from faith. You don't need to manipulate situations to win. You simply align with the truth and let it guide you. And when they caught that glimpse of who you truly are, it forced them to confront themselves. It wasn't just that they were shocked at your power. They were unsettled by the realization of how much they've compromised, how much they've avoided their own calling, how many shortcuts they've taken instead of doing the real inner work. You became a mirror they didn't want to look into. But you can't dim yourself to make others more comfortable. You've been entrusted with too much, given too much, endured too much to turn down the volume of your soul now. Every test, every betrayal, every lonely night was preparation for this level of authority in your spirit. And those who can't handle it? That's not your problem. That's their invitation to grow. You're stepping into a season where your strength will not only be recognized, but sought after. Doors will open not because you begged for them, but because your spirit will draw the right opportunities, the right people, and the right alignments to you. You've proven that you can carry what others dropped, that you can stand where others fell, and that you can still move forward even when carrying the weight of your scars. And the most powerful part? You've done it all without losing yourself. In a world that rewards masks and pretenses, you've stayed authentic. You've stayed rooted. You've stayed true to who you are. That's why your strength is unmatched, why they couldn't copy it, and why that one glimpse they caught will echo in their minds long after you've moved on to even greater things. Chosen one, here's the truth you need to hold in your spirit as you step into what's next. Your spiritual strength is not a temporary spark. It's an eternal flame. It was lit long before this moment, and it will burn long after the people who doubted you fade into the background. Every battle, every heartbreak, every no you heard was not a sign of weakness, but a divine sharpening of the sword inside you. And now, that sword is unshakable. The reason they couldn't handle that glimpse of your strength is because it challenged the narrative they were living in. They wanted to believe life was random, unfair, and hopeless. But when you stood in front of them, calm, unshaken, still carrying light in your eyes, they saw undeniable proof that God's hand is real, that faith works, that resilience wins, that terrified them more than any confrontation ever could. You see, strength like yours doesn't just protect, it transforms. It shifts the atmosphere in rooms. It makes broken people realize they can heal. It makes fearful people remember they can fight. And whether they admit it or not, many who once mocked you have already started imitating you in small ways. They borrow your phrases, your mindset, your way of standing tall in storms. They will never give you the credit, but the truth is, they are watching, learning, and slowly being changed by what they saw. But this next season is not about proving them wrong. It's about proving God right. He chose you knowing you'd face opposition, knowing you'd be underestimated, knowing you'd be surrounded by people who couldn't comprehend the weight you carry. And still, you rose. Still, you stood. Still, you loved. That's why He's now positioning you in spaces where your light can't be ignored. The opportunities coming won't be the kind you have to chase down. They will chase you because they recognize the authority in your spirit. Doors that were once locked will swing open, not because you found the right key, but because the lock no longer exists for you. Conversations will start, invitations will arrive, and people you've never met will feel as though they know you, because they've felt your energy before they ever heard your name. And here's the most important part. You are not just stepping into blessings, you are stepping into legacy. The strength you've built will ripple through generations. Someone years from now will rise stronger because they heard your story, because they saw what you endured, because they believed, if you could do it, so could they. That is the mark of a true chosen one, not just surviving for yourself, but paving the way for others to thrive. So walk boldly. Don't shrink to fit into spaces you've already outgrown. Don't dim your light for eyes that aren't ready for the brightness. Don't apologize for being the living proof of what's possible when faith and resilience collide. They caught a glimpse before and it rattled them. But this time, they're about to see the full picture. And when they do, it won't just shake them, it will wake them. You are the evidence that impossible things become inevitable when God's hand is on your life. And from this moment forward, you're not just walking in spiritual strength. You are walking as a force of divine change, unstoppable, undeniable, and unforgettable.